I speak of Robert Murphy, the Western Bulldog superstar. Joins us. G'day, Bob.
G'day, Gaz. How are you, mate?
I know we're sponsored by the other paper, the Sunday paper.
There's a little bit of tension in this room, I'll be honest. Plain Damo.
If you ever want to read...
I feel it, he's looking at me.
Any article through the week, apart from...
I'm a bit worried. You've actually got a very good team phrase.
Go to the Age on a Thursday. Is Thursday, Bob?
Thursday.
Yeah,
very nice work. I've enjoyed it. Hard to follow some of it.
Yeah, so you can...
Even I find some of it hard to follow, James, don't worry.
Natural. Hey, mate, much rather be playing, and you've had your fair share, haven't you, over the journey?
I'd had a good run for a while, and the last couple of years have been a bit stop-start, so I'd hoped I'd sort of seen the back of this sort of work on a Friday night, but not to be.
You alluded to the fact that not the most robust of men, and it was always an argument with Robbie Flower, who you've been likened to in the way that you play, that if he had spent some more time in the strong room, maybe he wouldn't have sort of had some of those injuries. What's your attitude to that? I mean, you haven't sort of really... It might be hard to put muscle on that very sinewy type of frame, Jim. But you do the strength stuff?
Without pumping the horn out too much, I actually I've got a fair bit stronger over my time, but yeah, the size, as you can see, just hasn't quite hung on.
I guess the disappointing thing too last week, Rob, is and I did that game. You're on fire early. I mean, you had an interrupted pre-season getting into the season. All of a sudden you get back, you're starting to play good football. It must be very dispiriting when you come down with another injury just on top of what you've had to go through. Yeah,
I mean, the knee operation was a pretty major one at the end of the year, so it was a pretty frustrating summer and early start to the year. And I actually, last week, felt like finally that, things started to click a bit, and the mind and the body were, in unison, and then the hammy ping. So it was that's the explanation for I had a bit of a dummy spit on the way off the ground. Bit of the old sailor talk, as it was.
I'm hearing it.
A very forlorn figure.
Yes, I'm hearing it.
Rob, this week has been Jason Ackermanis week, hasn't it? It seems to have been
a festival.
And you yourself actually... brought into that today with the Age with a very good Q&A with him. Have you found him just as a club which, until he got there, didn't go out of its way to seek publicity, but this week has just been extraordinary even by his standards, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think, the milestone is such a huge one that, everyone in the footy world sort of rolls the red carpet out, and as they should for a 300 game, milestone. So, Jason, he loves the limelight as much as anyone, but I think he's handled it pretty well.
Murph, do you actually yourself get surprised at some of the things he says and go like, oh, wow, why would you say that?
Hourly, daily.
He's actually got a soft spot for you. Is that a good or bad thing?
I think we both Jason and I could argue over what colour the sky is, but I think there's some there's a bit of mutual appreciation there for, I find him very, very funny.
You're both Irish.
That's right,
today,
yeah.
So. I had the pleasure of coaching Rob in the Australian series, and we had a win on this night, and we're in Perth, and we went to a pub, and Rob Murphy argued with 16 All-Australians. Murphy against 16 of them in the pub for a good 3 hours, which was entertaining. Jim, I'm just looking down this list of players of the Western Bulldogs. Which of these do you sort of sit down and have a very deep, sort of intelligent type of conversation? Who out of these blokes is sort of on a similar wavelength to your good self? I couldn't imagine Brian Lake would be able to sort of
No, Big Bryce is sort of... He's a meat and potato.
Yes. Any of these blokes at all sort of able to enter into your world?
Well, I like to, argue and have a bit of conversation. But Will Minson's actually out of my league.
Big Minnow, is he?
Oh, yeah, Big Minnow.
What's his strength? What's his strong suit?
He's a food critic of sorts.
Really?
Big Will. I asked him the other day what would he most like to, what would his dream job be, and he said a food critic. And I was still laughing about it.
Any of a strong political bent in there? Any that you can go head to head with your strong forthright political view?
Someone who sort of probably keeps it a little bit to themselves, but Ben Hudson's pretty sharp, especially for a big man. He's pretty sharp, so we have some good debates.
Ask you, Murph, about your relationship with a Footy Show favourite who now plays for Richmond, who over
Judas.
the stretch has said you've got gout, syphilis, AIDS, herpes, polio and genital discharge.
Only some of those are true.
Do you watch when he does the Western Bulldogs games, which he requests when he comes in, Nathan Brown, and just slides them out during his preview?
I know if I check my phone, I've got, say, 9 or 10 text messages that Nathan G's been up to some sort of antics.